Yo, Chase, what's up, bro? Always first, man. You're almost always first. With his live chats, videos. It's funny. Yeah. Alexandra Torres. How you doing, brother? Nice to see you here. Yo, Ethan. Yo, Leslie. What's up, bro? Good, man. I'm doing all right. How you doing? Hey there, Ricky. Reps and grooves. Nice. Mountain. It's good. Oh, we got 9 of you so far here. Okay, we'll see who shows up. I'll do a little bit of a shorter chat today because I might be taking off out of town, a couple-hour drive or whatever, to go see an event or whatever, and then come back home. But yeah, we'll see what we can chat about tonight. But if you don't get a daily dose of mountain, you'll die, Chase. Yeah, I wish, man. I wish that was the case. Jeez. Thanks, though. I appreciate the vote of confidence. Thank you, buddy. Yeah. Alejandro. Hey, I'm sorry, Alexandro or Alejandro. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name, and I don't want to mispronounce it and seem disrespectful or something, but I don't know how I pronounce it with my Canadian tongue. So sorry if I'm butchering your name. I recognize your name, but I don't know if I'm saying it right. So yeah, nice. Yeah, I guess first things first, what I'll do is I'll talk about something that happened today in the chat. There was a guy, yeah, Alejandro. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, but that might be the right way to say it. I don't know, Chase. But anyway, yeah, today I'm going to talk a little bit right away off the bat. With my last video, I talked about whether you have to, absolutely destroy the muscle from time to time or take it easy on the muscle. And I was basically saying that natural bodybuilders do need to destroy the muscle from time to time, right? I was saying this. And I was just also saying that, guys that aren't natural, they may go by different rules. There's certain things that apply to them that might not necessarily apply to naturals. And I was quite specific about some, not all, some. But of course, there was a guy that, was another one of these professionally offended type idiots on the internet here. And he's saying, why does Jason always beat up on the guys that are not natural? And I'm like, I'm not beating up on the guys that aren't natural. But when somebody accuses me of this or having some sort of false motive, then, I hit back quite hard because I'm like, hey, I'm not accusing guys that aren't natural of being, jerks or anything like that. It's just that there is a fact that I have watched a lot in the gyms. I've seen it over and over again, like a million times. Guys who are natural can get away with training differently than guys who are natural and still get results. It's a freaking fact, right? But of course, this guy was getting all offended and stuff, and then saying, well, if you don't know anything about being a pro, you don't know anything about training hard because I've never seen you train hard, all this kind of stuff. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've been training hard my whole life. And when I was in competition and stuff like that, no, there's no video of me training. Like, there's no video of me throwing up in a bucket. There's no video of that. And the funny thing about this person is saying, well, you never were pro and stuff. And well, I was pro. But he goes, well, how come I don't hear about you? Well, I was pro before social media. Like, there was no social media sharing like how great you are. It was called magazines back then, and I was in the magazine. So check that out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but this person was trying to stand on some sort of pulpit of somehow glorification of the non-natural lifestyle choice, which I totally disagree with. And it's almost like people are disenchanted or not disenchanted. They should be disenchanted, but they're enchanted with this dream perpetuated by the whole drug lifestyle. And so anybody that comes along and tells the truth about something that doesn't glorify that lifestyle choice, all of a sudden they're the enemy. And that's basically where I was in this fight with this guy, because he's basically talking bullshit, right? Basically, firstly, falsely accusing me of just beating up on guys that choose that as their lifestyle choice. And the truth is, some of these people are very nice people and whatever. I was just stating a fact that there are different rules, and some people respond better to different techniques than others, of course. But one thing I have noticed is that natural bodybuilders do respond differently to training than to people who have like 1,000 different hormones circulating around in their system. It's just a different scenario. And these people can get away with training differently. And I'm not going to list the pros that I saw train. I'm not going to list them. But I was down in California in Venice Gulch watching pros train. And I was dumbfounded when I saw what they were doing. It totally, like, it was not like the magazines at all. Like most of the guys that are glorifying this lifestyle choice, they're basically watching one moment in time of, some hard workouts when the cameras are running, but they're not seeing what goes on behind the scenes when the cameras aren't running. They're not seeing the training and the way it works with these dudes, right? And I was in the gym when the cameras weren't going, and they're just like playing around with light weights, there was a top 3 Olympia guy that was doing like 105s on the incline, which I was doing like 30 pounds more than that, and I was half his size, right? Then there was another person that was like big as a house, and they were doing like 3 or 4 plates on hammer strength and stuff, which is something I do regularly. There was not this massive strength difference that I was expecting, yet they were 10 times bigger. And I know that myself, like if I just lift light weights all the time with no heavy weights, I do not get bigger and pumped like I talked about. You do need to do some heavy weight here and there. Now, the ratio of that might be different from person to person, but I have noticed that natural people do need to get bigger. You just can't do like 5-pound dumbbells and rep out. I know one guy that used to go in the gym, he trained all his clients like that. They'd be doing 50-pound dumbbells on the bench, never going up, and just nice and easy. And basically he just filled them full of hormones, and then they would grow from that. It's a totally different approach to training, and I totally disagree with it, to tell you the truth. But whatever, you can't argue with people who have an idea in their head and they just deny that you had any experience or you saw anything, right? Like sometimes I'll say, hey, I've seen this, and they're like, oh, no, you didn't. And I'm like, well, I've seen that. No, you didn't. So how do you have these discussions, right? But people who want to know the truth, those are the people I want around this channel. People who don't want to know like what my experience is or anything, like, why the fuck are you tuning in? It just doesn't even make sense. I don't get it. So that's kind of the funniest thing. So anyway, that was my little thing. I raised a comment anyway because I could tell that the guy just wasn't interested in anything that I had to say about what was going on with training or anything. So I just said, fuck it. If you're not interested in the truth, just fuck off, right? That's just the way it is, right? So yeah, I'm kind of done with this childlike way of seeing things. The other thing I'm done with on YouTube is that a lot of people will say, as soon as you hit back or fire back, like say they make an accusation, say, oh, you're just this because you're jealous, or you're an asshole, or you're just, like, say they say something like this to me, and then I hit them back with the same type of fire. They say, oh, wow, just because somebody disagrees with you, you're an asshole, right? You're somehow a jerk. And I'm like, no, it's not because you disagree with me. It's because you projected something on me or accused me of something that's not true. And then I'm going to basically make sure that I put a stop to that and put some boundaries in place, right? And as soon as you do that, people all of a sudden hate you, and they say, oh, well, you should be more like this person on YouTube because they're nice all the time. And I'm like, yeah, people who are nice all the time, projecting something on YouTube, are usually people playing a role. So when you're playing a role, you're not really being yourself. And then people are surprised later on when they meet these people in person, or they find out some secret shit about them. They're like, oh, I can't believe I found out this stuff about this person. Well, how can you be surprised? Because they were acting a role. They're basically lying to you the whole time, telling you what you want to hear, because that's how you make a profit on YouTube or in anything. If you tell people what they want to hear, there's a lot more money involved in that than hitting them with the truth. My channel's about truth. I don't give a shit about making money if I have to try to become something different than what I am in order to do that. And I'm trying to bridge the gap there. But all I'm here to do is share some experiences that I've had and to tell you about it. But if you think I'm an asshole because I tell you about it, well, then what do you want me to do, right? I'm not gonna filter it down. So that's been what I'm doing on YouTube. So if you ever see me having comments or wars in the comments, you'll notice that if somebody asks me a question, I respond much differently than when they make an accusation. It's a totally different conversation. But when somebody says, hey, Jason, you're this, and then I'm like, wait a second, back the truck up. Like, what are you making an accusation and assuming of why or I'm doing something or what my motive is? And you're not even actually looking any deeper to saying, oh, Jason doesn't have a motive here. He's actually showing you what he experienced and what he saw, what he witnessed, right? And I'm not going to change my witness testimony based on your preferences, right? So, if I drive a shitty car and the car blows up, I'm not going to tell you, oh, the car didn't blow up because it hurts your feelings because you have some sort of attachment to the name brand or something, right? I'm just going to say, hey, the car blew up, right? So anyway, that's my thing, Hey, and Leslie, if you're gonna ask stuff a mantra, stuff like that, I use my other channel for that, not this channel. So I don't respond to that kind of stuff on this channel so much there, Leslie. So this is probably not the right platform for it. So again, it gets misunderstood and everything gets misread and whatever. So that's why I don't deal with that here. So anyway, okay, let me see what else we got going on here. Yeah, Gerillo, yeah, there's a few different things. Yes, guys who are not natural can get away with training harder and they can recover. But you will also notice that there are certain things that happen with guys' bodies that are on drugs, and there's different types of drugs. That's the other thing people don't understand. These guys are in a totally different realm. It's a totally different realm. It has nothing to do with drugs. By saying drugs, you're saying they're all in the same category. I saw a guy go to the gym, and I shit you not, he got weaker, but he was on drugs, but he got pumped and big. I'm telling you, and you go to the gym and he'd say his pump was so bad it burned, like it hurt badly. And all he was doing was light stuff and just pumping up because he was on a different type of drug as opposed to another one that maybe a strongman is on or something like that. So these different drugs play different roles in how the body responds. And that's what I'm trying to say, is that because there's this other huge variable at work, it's not going to play by the same rules as a natural guy. A natural guy it doesn't have this other ecosystem going on, right? So that's really what I'm saying. GL, should we eat carbs around the workout before and after or throughout the day? It doesn't matter. I eat them throughout the day, but it depends on how strict I am on my diet. I answered this last week, but if I'm super strict on my diet and I'm really hungry during the workout, then I definitely need to have some carbs before the workout plus some protein to help stabilize the blood sugar. Because like I said, when I'm on a lower fat diet, the food goes in and out of my system really quickly. So then I train, I got to make sure I have a little bit of a reserve of food because the fat stores are not giving me the reserve anymore. Because the leaner you are, the less reserve you have of energy. And now your digestive system has to provide that energy. So you're going to notice that when you're leaner, you're going to be more tied to eating more frequently and more tied to being specific about what you eat and when you eat it and how often you eat it. Yeah, the rules will change the leaner you get, just so you know. And you'll have to eat more frequently and a larger amount of volume of food. The calories might be smaller, but because you're eating cleaner food, but at the same time, I noticed that you definitely have to feed the body energy as it needs it, more so than if you have a larger amount of fat stores. I experienced that on a construction site. I was doing construction all day, and as I was getting leaner, like I lost like 6 or 7 pounds in a couple months just doing that job. And as I got leaner, there'd be this crash that would hit through the middle of the day. And I was eating like low-fat cottage cheese and pineapple, and I was eating like lots of low-fat like rice and chicken and tuna and whatever. But I just could not access enough energy to continue the day because my fat stores were so low that I didn't have enough fat to constantly be able to access that too, because your body's accessing a percentage of carbs, protein, and fats for energy. So I'd have to go and fill up on some sort of fatty meal just to be able to continue to function. So like I said, when there's no reserve of food, you'll notice that you may be more vulnerable to not having enough food before your workout. So you'll need to have carbs and protein for sure. Yeah, Chase, you're right. I mean, most of these guys, they shrink like crazy once they get off gear. And some of them, you wouldn't even know that they train. That's the funny thing. Some of them, you look at them, you're like, oh, did you ever train? And then other ones, they seem to maintain the results. But I'm going to tell you, it's just a totally different thing. So on this channel, I'm not here to glorify that whole ego-driven process. I'm not a fan. I'm a fan of some of the people. And yeah, I like the look of the physique, but I'm not a fan of the lifestyle choice in order to attain it, you know? So I'm trying not to throw the baby out with the bathwater because, like I said, there's some freaking amazing people in all walks of life and all lifestyle choices, but I am not an advocate of the lifestyle and what is glorified in that whole process because I think it hurts people more than helps them. Yeah, Riz Garage Fitness, nice to see you here there, buddy. Yeah, I'm glad that my videos are helping you out a little bit or whatever. At least giving you a different perspective anyway. And Can intensity make up for volume if techniques like rest, pause, forced reps, and drop sets are employed? Do you have any experience using these techniques? Of course I do, Black Phoenix. I've been doing this 30 years, of course. I mean, you see me, even just in the last couple of videos, you've seen me rest and pause on my, in the warm-ups on the bench. You've seen me rest and pause on my chest. I'm going to be doing a video also on rest and pause in a different scenario, but I'll be talking about that. But yeah, just watch my videos. You'll see me doing this stuff all the time. But can one thing replace the other? Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you break the muscle down, you break the muscle down. How much rest pause is needed for that, or how much stretch is needed, or whatever is going to be different for each person. But I find a lot of people, when they rest pause, they're not resting in the way that would create muscle damage. They're actually resting and basically not having the muscle contracted. And when you're resting in a stretch position, you want the muscle still contracted and still tension being on that muscle in order to get the benefit. If it's relaxing, all you're doing is taking a break. You're not necessarily doing more muscular damage in that moment. Alejandro Torres, sorry that I don't know what ego lifting means. Ego lifting means that you're lifting just to impress yourself by getting the weight up no matter what way you do it, or no matter how dangerous you do it, or whatever. You're just basically trying to impress people. So it's basically lifting stupid in a way, I guess, to make you feel better about yourself, to make you, or to give you the illusion that you accomplished something. So it's a common thing. Unfortunately, a lot of people on the internet use ego lifting, or the term ego lifting, to basically just discredit anybody they think doesn't lift the way they think they should be lifting, right? So somebody will say, like, if I squat 90 degrees, they say, oh, you're just ego lifting. That's why you can lift that heavy. You're not going all the way down. Meanwhile, if I go all the way down, even with body weight, it hurts my knees and it doesn't feel right. So they're not taking that into account. There's a lack of compassion in the way they're seeing it, but they call it ego lifting sometimes because they're assuming they understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, not understanding really why I'm doing what I'm doing. So Jason, would a person make better gains doing, let's say, 5 sets but add weight when they can, or a person that goes in, doesn't care about weight and kills it with a lot of volume and failure? I don't think there's one solution. I think it's both. I think, yeah, because like I said, sometimes higher reps work, sometimes lower reps work. It's a matter of what does your body need that day. And like, say you've done like a ton of heavy workouts the last week or two, then sometimes you get the pump of your life and you get so much more fullness from doing, like, say, a 20 rep workout or 25 rep workout. Then the next day you notice that everything swells up because there's that synergy that happens. So I don't think it's much either or. But if I was going to pick just one, I would say, yeah, getting stronger and bigger overall is best. It's just that there are other risks with that, because if you get stronger and bigger, you're using heavier weights, and a lot of times there's more of a risk of injury in a lot of cases. And not just that, sometimes you're working the nervous system, or sometimes you're just straining the joints because you are lifting on the edge of failure all the time. And, you know, one slip or one movement the wrong way and you're using maximal weights, you can actually hurt yourself. So ultimately, I found that I got a lot more results when I combined high reps, low reps, and basically went on feel. So sometimes you feel flattened out. If you feel flattened out and your diet is always the same, and you've been training high reps all the time, well then, yeah, do a heavy day. If you feel flattened out and you've been doing heavy days for a while and you feel like you're just not really, you know, the muscle's not pumping up or nothing, then do a lightweight day and see what happens. And a lot of times that's enough to fix that lack of pump or that lack of holistic sort of growth that goes on in the area. Infrared, any tips on helping to get a better mind-muscle connection? The best way to get a better mind-muscle connection is to frequently train, is to do it all the time. Maybe not doing a lot of volume, but you're always reminding the body. It's kind of like, say you do stick handling with puck handling, or juggling a soccer ball, or shooting baskets. That coordination, just by doing it frequently, builds that mind, like, because all mind-muscle connection is coordination. That's all it is. So with coordination, it's more about frequency. How often do you do something? And if you do it a lot, then the body starts to develop that chain of command through the nervous system to fire the proper muscles in the right order. That's really all mind-muscle connection is. So as you train more often, maybe in order to do this, you do lower volume, which is why I sell the 2-day split programs on my website, because I find this is a great way to establish that. Then you will notice that your mind-muscle connection will go through the roof. It really does make a difference, and your groove becomes more smooth, it actually becomes safer in a certain way because you're no longer off kilter, right? Now, some people, they seem to maintain their mind-muscle connection quite well. They don't necessarily have any problems with maintaining groove. Yeah, maybe these are the type of people that don't need as much frequency, but I found that for a lot of people, frequency does really help with this. What kind of carbs do you suggest before the workout, and how long before the workout should we eat? I eat sometimes a half an hour before the workout. If I'm eating lower fat, GL, I don't necessarily worry about it because the food just goes in my system and through real quick. If I'm eating a lot of fats and carbs and just stuff myself full of heavy foods, that would be different. Then I'd have to wait an hour or so before I train, right? So it just depends on how you digest the food and stuff like that. But the type of calories that you're taking in or the type of macros you're taking in will play a role. Emma Computer, why is it that as we get older, the amount of calories that we used to drop pounds with doesn't work anymore? I have to eat even below what I used to eat to drop the fat. I'm 58. Well, the metabolism slows down a bit, sometimes at 58. Sometimes it's also your activity level is different. Yeah, I mean, you might not be moving around as much for whatever reason. But mostly it's your hormones and your metabolism do change as you get older. And sometimes this can be caused from deficiencies in minerals or other issues going on in your life, stress, whatever, or maybe a burden that's been going on in your body for a long period of time. So it's not as much age, but it's more about maybe you have some toxin buildup that is also interfering with your hormone production. These are all worthwhile things to look at with a Chinese medicine doctor or naturopath or whatever. But at the same time, yeah, this will affect how much calories your body burns in a day in that metabolism. Maybe it's your thyroid, whatever it might be. So yeah, that will affect how you train and how you eat. Also, if you have a digestive system issue and you're not digesting food properly too, this will also play a role in the entire metabolism and how it runs, right? So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you can see a classic car from 1960 or 1950 and it can be shiny, running perfect, purring like a kitten, even though it's older. It's because there's been a lot of refurbishing going on, a lot of tuning up. And there's a lot of tuning up that the body needs as well as you get older. And if you don't tune it, then sometimes it kind of goes astray. So you need to make sure you're going for those tune-ups from time to time. That's why I talk about massage therapy and I talk about addressing other issues as well by seeing some professionals in the area that are experts in holistic medicine in some way, shape, or form. John Rich, I trained biceps with a lot of volume the day before yesterday. They were slightly sore yesterday, and today they are not sore. Are they tight, John? Even if they're tight, though, you can train them, but just make sure you warm up well if they're tight. But I find just a tiny bit sore, yeah, you can train them again. Why not? Have you thought about changing the direction of your channel slightly in terms of branding? I feel like you have a cool 80s vibe going on with the hair and the music. So what do you mean? So apparently, based on your thing, I have a cool 80s vibe. That's my branding, I guess. So you're saying I need to change that, or what are you saying there, Kaiser? All right there, Flow Gaming. No worries, man. 251. I understand. You got to go to bed, buddy. The voice of reason. Hey, the voice of reason. I'm going to give you some reason right now. Hey, if you want to make sure that I answer your questions, you're more than free to donate a super chat or a donation to the channel. Because as you noticed, nobody's donated anything yet. I always have to say this. Don't know why, but if I skip your question because you're getting some free advice here, you can donate, and then your question will go to the top of the list. Otherwise, sometimes I'll cherry pick questions based on what I want to answer at the time. Thoughts on 5x5? Good. 5x5 is good training. It's good for strength training and stuff like that. There's variations of that kind of stuff, but yeah, 5x5 is good. Yeah, anything that's kind of branding on my channel, like 80s vibes and all this, it's all by accident. It's not on purpose. It's just that when I use my DAW system or my interface for Logic and I make my own music, I just happen to have access to a lot of cool sounds that remind people of the 80s, and then that's kind of what I use. But it's not because I'm trying to do 80s. It's just naturally happening, right? So yeah, I don't know. It's just yeah, branding's happening by accident. Yeah, pink and blue lighting is a must for the quintessential 80s vibe. Yeah, I don't have that going on. So maybe that's where I'm dropping the ball. I'm dropping the ball on the lighting. Wait for Kaiser to get back to me here. So this is a delay on the chat. I don't know why. It seems like there's a delay in the chat sometimes. How fast stuff. Have you tried blood flow restriction? No, Drilla, I don't do, you know, some of this trendy stuff I don't really do, but I never really needed to, I guess. Ricky Field, how can you tell if you're overtraining? Well, usually you're sore all over, or you got joint soreness all over. Like you feel like you got hit by a truck a lot of times. Your immune system's down a bit. Sometimes you feel groggy in the head, restless, you can't sleep. That also can happen. But a lot of times overtraining will show up in the form of little tweaks like injuries and things too. Yeah. Can you gain muscle using 12 to 15 rep range? Of course you can, Torek. Yes. Hey, Voice of Reason, thanks for the $5, but you didn't put your question in the $5 there. Okay, I'm gonna have to scroll up and see what you said. Okay, what is your thoughts on BCAAs? Is it worth supplementing with them? I do. I like BCAAs. I find that there's a different type of energy I feel, and this goes back to the question that came earlier. I find that when I'm on a diet or I'm eating very clean and I don't have a lot of body fat to work with for reserves of energy, I find BCAAs when I'm in the gym, I feel an energetic boost from them. It does work. I really feel it. I don't take the caffeine ones. I just take the pure ones with just sweetened with stevia, but I have noticed a definite energy rush from them. And it's different than caffeine. It's actually like a sustainable type of energy, so it's nice. It's actually good. So does this help preserve muscle tissue? Well, some people say yes, some people say no. I think it does. And at the same time, it also improves the quality of the protein that you're eating in your diet, because those BCAAs, which are, you know, essential amino acids in a lot of ways, a lot of cases, they help offset some of the other proteins that you're getting randomly from other sources. And then it makes a complete protein that way, right? But I had arguments with the trainer at the gym. The guy's a skinny shit or whatever and thinks he knows everything because he read a couple books. And he's like, oh yeah, they're all bullshit. It's all psychosomatic, all this kind of stuff, right? And I'm like, well, you're going to tell me, I feel different energy when I go in the gym when I have those, especially when I'm on a restrictive type of diet. And if I have coffee, and I expect coffee to wire me up sometimes, because if I have a mocha or something like that, sometimes, you know, you get a bit of caffeine lights on type of thing. And I find that I get a different type of energy from BCAAs, and I feel that. And I wasn't expecting to feel it. That's not necessarily placebo, right? I was expecting it just to be a taste good sort of drink, and I accidentally got energy from it. I didn't think I was going to get energy, but it actually did give me energy for sure. So I think BCAAs are worth it. I do think they're good. Yeah. Thanks there, Nada. $1.99. Were you looking in your couch there again, Nada? Hey, and just so you know, Nada, I was outside with a t-shirt on the other day, and now it's like just above freezing again, and I'm freezing my ass off even with a jacket outside. So you're happy. I'm sure you'll be happy about that. I'm freezing my butt off again. Thoughts on complete annihilation of a body part and training it again 6 days later? Well, first and foremost, I would say if that works for you, if you notice that you're getting results, then by all means do it until you're no longer getting results. I found that by annihilating a body part and training it 6 days later, I found that I was almost out of touch with that body part again, especially in the case of legs and lower back type training when I needed to have that groove down. So that's why I found that it wasn't a great way for me to train. And I found that I was actually out of shape by the time I went to train that muscle group 6 days later again, because obviously I could only do so much volume in one workout because my body would just exhaust. It just would run out of energy after doing 15 or 20 sets, especially with legs or something. I'm just like dying, right? And then I found I was recovered by the time 4 days went around, 5 days for sure. And then by the time the 6th day came around, it's almost like I was already on the backswing, basically. You know, it would have been perfect for me to train again 2 or 3 days later, because I find the quality of the sets also, after you do 5, 10 sets of a body part, then the quality of sets starts to go down. You start to get more into the energy consumption restriction than the actual muscle constriction itself. Like, so your energy and how much energy you have in the body becomes more the weak link and then really the muscle and the fibers. So that's why I find training that way doesn't work for me so well. But again, if people have a higher fast twitch fiber content, maybe that is the best way for them to train. So I'm totally open to that. But I'm saying that that was not really where I got most of my results from. IPO 79, 3 times 20 versus 3 times 8 to 12 to failure for muscle. Any difference? Of course there's a difference. Massive difference. Totally different rep range. So totally different. Both good, but one will hit the fast twitch fibers more so, or at least the the strength endurance fibers more so than just pure endurance fibers, for sure. So yeah, much different. It's good for both. Not one is better than the other, but if I was going to pick one over the other, I would be doing 8 to 12. Thanks there, Leslie. Thanks for the $5 there, buddy. Yeah, no, like I said, I'm not. The problem is, whenever I ask for super chat, it's always the same fuckers that are contributing. The people that contribute already, they're usually not the people that need to contribute, but the people that don't contribute, they're the ones that. So it's fun. So yeah, I get this weird sort of thing where some people are too generous, and then other people they just get mad at me because I don't answer their questions, and I'm not enslaved in an eternal servitude to them forever for their questions on bodybuilding and everything else on the planet. So yeah, it's kind of funny, man. Yeah, Nada, are you talking to me about how cold it is? And yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know you'd rather I freeze my ass off. Oh shit, that's funny. Quibix, as far as the donation on Super Chat on YouTube, it just goes through, you have an account with Google and stuff, and that's how it happens. I mean, if you want, you guys can become Patreon supporters too, right? If I have a Patreon account under patreon.com, under Natural Gland Bodybuilding, there's a Patreon account there. If you want to become a Patreon supporter, that helps support the chats too. So whatever you want to do. Jim Worth, you need to dance more if you need tips, yeah. Yeah, that's funny. Fight for ire. Full of self. Okay, what are you saying there? Fight for ire? What are you saying there, buddy? Nice there, Karen Jones. Yeah, I'm glad to have you here, buddy. I'm glad to do this stuff with you guys because there's quite a few quality people on this channel too, as much as some people misunderstand me, but I'm glad that there's a few of you get what I'm doing. Voice of reason. No, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with asking questions. Just that sometimes if people like put in the chat, like I avoided their question. Like some people are getting mad at me when they say, "Hey, you skipped my question. You skipped my question. You skipped my question." And like I said, it's one of those things where I'm trying to answer everybody's questions, but I can only do so much sometimes. And sometimes I'll look at certain chats and then I can't see, and then I have to scroll up. So sometimes I'll basically just answer what I can answer, and then what I see, and then. If people want to make their question obvious, then it's easier if they donate a super chat. Not only does it help support me keep on doing these things, but at the same time, it helps me see your question, honestly. No, Nada, I really appreciate you being around here and supporting the channel too. Yeah, and I really appreciate the sense of humor, to tell you the truth. That's actually more important than the other stuff. So yeah, I like it when people come here and they're just open to having a conversation and a chat and a laugh. That's more important than anything else. Okay, Gerlo, is 200 grams of protein from whey shakes equal to quality of 200 grams from protein from meats? I'd say no. Whey protein is great, but the problem is that whey protein goes in and out of your system quickly. So I find a combination of whey protein plus the meats works well. The reason why is because meat has to be digested, so it slowly enters the bloodstream, and therefore it gives a little bit more of a stable sort of groove, right? Whereas, some people say if protein goes in the bloodstream really fast and gets digested really fast, then it's out of the bloodstream really fast too. So if your muscle can only use so much, then some of it gets wasted. So I think a combination of both slow releasing protein and fast protein is probably best. Oh, thanks, Daniel. Thanks for the $4.99 there, buddy. Yeah, Ali Mirza, yeah, you watched Kevin Levrone, and he was a different bodybuilder compared to today's bodybuilders and the rep ranges he used. There's some really strong bodybuilders. Like I'm not, again, in my chat, I'm not saying that there isn't, and there isn't some that train extremely hard. I'm not saying there, but to say that they train harder than natural guys is not true. And to say that they need to train the exact same as natural guys in order to get results, that's also not true. It's just a different animal. There's a reason why those guys tear muscles like crazy all the time too and stuff. Like the muscles are different. They become more brittle. So with that brittleness, it only stands to reason that they can get away with doing lighter weights and maybe cause more muscle breakdown as well. So there can be a whole bunch of other factors that are theories, but there could be a whole bunch of other factors that also play into why they train differently and have to train differently in order to accomplish what they are accomplishing. Does it matter when you have your weight shake after workout or just to hit the total protein? Well, they do say a fast releasing protein and sugar after your workouts is probably the best thing to get it right in the system right away, because that's probably when the demand for protein and carbs is the highest. Again, this is just a theory of mine and what I've read over the years and what I find. But for me, what I do is I just say, hey, I crave some chocolate right now or something, so I'll have a protein shake and then I'll put in some blueberries and kale, and it's an excuse for me to get in some vegetables and stuff like that. That's what I do. So it's probably not the most scientific approach, but that's what I do. Is it possible to be at 5% body fat for a natural? Yeah, it is possible, Ricky, but it's not possible to maintain that all the time. I'll say that. Thanks there, Black Phoenix. Thank you, buddy. Ethan's asking if he gets pumped and notice most of his growth comes to 12 to 15 reps, 60 seconds between sets. I do a higher fast twitch. Do I have a higher fast twitch fiber amount or slow twitch? I would say you probably have the slow twitch, not slow twitch, but like the strength endurance. That's probably what you'd have if that's what you're. But again, that's assuming that every other variable is in alignment with that. There could be other factors involved. I mean, the best way to do it is to get a test, honestly. I've never done that on myself, but it doesn't really matter, honestly. Just you're getting results, right? So if you find what you're getting results with best, then just do that. Yeah, I think, okay, GL's asking what I think about the coronavirus news. More people die from the flu. Yeah, you can't trust media anymore. That's the problem, right? You get some truths, some lies, and you just don't know who's pulling the strings anymore. A lot of media is like controlled by different people. So I'm not saying it's not good to be careful and everything like that, but you know how it is. Like, it's just kind of like the rumor mill. It just gets out of control, and all of a sudden people, they become panicked and crazy about something that is not necessarily as crazy because they hear about one instance or something that happens somewhere. The problem is that if you have no way of testing whether it's true or not, how do you know what to believe, right? So yeah, I just try to be as at peace as you can, and just hopefully just let your wisdom come through with what you feel is right for you in that moment. That's all I can recommend, honestly. But yeah, if you're just following mass fear and terror, that's usually not when the smartest decisions are made. It's when you're at peace, usually you have some sort of intuitive understanding of what is right for you in that moment, and that's what you should follow. Emmanuel Leal, hello, sir. Love your channel and wisdom. By the way, if you haven't lifted for 3 years, can you still bulk and put on weight fast at 32? Yes, of course you can. 32 is young still. I was really doing well, even at 32, 35. I was actually having a peak at 35. So yeah, you're good. Yeah, 32 is nothing. Okay, fight for ire. Sorry, but my daughter was on the mouse and should be in bed. What about rest times? Well, when you're using heavier weights, and you, especially coordination heavy exercises, like for instance, when I did my heavy bench workout with 295 the other day, it was heavier bench workout for me. Not super heavy, but it was heavy. I usually rested about 2 minutes to 3 minutes in between to make sure my coordination was perfect and right on, because that was my priority. But when you're trying to basically just pound a muscle and hit failure, and maybe you're working in rep ranges of 10 to 15 reps or 20 reps or whatever, then yeah, you can play around with the rest time quite a bit more. You can go less rest because you're not as much in danger of having a catastrophe happen if you lose your coordination for a moment or two, right? So I would say, yeah, those, you can do 60-second rest time, a minute and a half to 2 minutes. But one thing you want to take into account is, if your breath is the thing that's preventing you from continuing the set, then you're really working cardio more so than you're working muscle, right? So you want the muscular burn and the muscular failure to be the dictating factor of when the set stops. And that is when you're really working the muscular system. John Rich, during the 8 spent around 4 hours per week training for the Olympia. How amazing is that? Yeah, and again, that's just boils down to what my point is, right? It's just my point. There's something else totally going on that's different than, whatever. Was his physique amazing? Oh yeah, 100%. But the natural guy wouldn't be able to do that. No way. Black Phoenix, dare you say who you've got pegged in for the U.S. election this year? If anyone, yeah, I don't. There's already a deal with enough insanity on this channel just talking about training. Can you imagine if I just start talking politics, what people are going to say? All I can say is this: people need to not pay attention to media, not pay attention to what's said to them, but actually pay attention to what's happening. That's all I can say. Look, research, look deeper, look behind the scenes, look what's really happening, and understand that there's a whole other power game going on behind the scenes, that the puppet show that's going on in the public eye in politics is a bunch of BS. Like, a lot of people are judging this politician or that politician based on what some media outlet said about them, or a lot of people are judging somebody on their personality because somebody doesn't use the right word or they don't wear the right jacket or something like that. And they're judging a person based on that instead of what they're doing. That's kind of like somebody saying, hey, Jason, you didn't write the great American novel, so I'm not going to listen to your lifting advice. You know, this is where the stupidity of people are coming up. What's happening is people are trying to justify their hatred, and they come up with anything they can to justify their hatred and rejection of other human beings. And that's really the main thing that's going on in the puppet show called politics. A lot of people are looking at that kind of stuff. So I think if people really got neutral and really looked at what's happening and really did the research instead of getting emotionally invested in what they think should be right or not, because this person reminds them of somebody they don't like or whatever, I think they come up with a much different answer than what they have now. Is mostly slow twitch muscles being used when feeling the burn? Yeah, I mean, I'd say when you're getting into the real deep burn, that's definitely a lot of it. Yeah, a lot of slow twitch muscles. The voice of reason. Take care, buddy. Have a good one, man. Fight for ire. Thanks. And then the next thing he says is up Trump and then weak. I don't know what you're saying there, buddy. Yeah, okay. Fabricio Minas. Ah, nice mountain emojis. Thank you, buddy. Hi, Jason. Can you still build a bodybuilder physique starting training at 39? I would say it would be pretty tough, but it's not impossible, especially if you have the right genetics and if you have a history of sports or you've done sports or something like that. But does that mean you can't get lean or can't look decent? Of course you can. Yeah, for sure you can. But it depends what you mean by bodybuilder, or if you mean elite or not. If you want to be elite, it does help to have that foundation, and it helps to have foundation whether it's in sport, like say you played football, say you were sprinting, say you were doing some sort of sport that helped you build muscle, then it will help. But if you haven't, and you were sedentary most of your life, then you might have some issues. But here's another thing. If you're extremely overweight and you had to carry that weight around most of your life, you might notice that you don't have much issue with building quads and calves. You know, so who knows, right? It depends on the circumstance. Is it ideal? No, but it's possible, yes. Tim Granovsky, I noticed that many of your songs are in D minor. I don't even know what my songs are in there, Tim. I just go by what sound I like. And it's not about convenient as much as it is about what notes I play and what seems to go right, you know? But yeah, I mean, I'm open to always expanding that knowledge, right? We'll see what happens. I want to learn how to play the guitar, and then maybe that'll expand my knowledge of music as well. Would you say volume is the primary driver for hypertrophy? No, I would say in some muscle groups it can be. It can be in some muscle groups, but this is the other thing. I'll talk about this in a video. Like, some muscles seem to respond better to volume, some respond better to power and strength, some seem to respond better to higher reps, you know, that sort of thing. So this is why it's kind of complicated to answer that question. But I would say 100% heavy is necessary, and that's not necessarily volume dependent. It's really just intensity itself. And then hypertrophy is second, I would say, with endurance stuff. I would say that hypertrophy training or volume would be secondary. Oh, thanks, Sir Josh. Thanks, buddy. Oh, yeah, I like that emoji too. That's pretty cool. Everybody should have died at 29 like in Rogan's Run. Yeah, Roll. Unfortunately, I didn't know shit at 29. Honestly, I still didn't know anything at 29. I learned most of the real useful stuff at around 32 to 40. That's when I really went through a learning curve that was like on another level when it came down to everything. Honestly, everything. Like, so much. So Yeah, good thing it's not Logan's Run because I would have died an idiot. Oh, thanks there, John. You love bodybuilding. That's good. That's good. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I find it, not us saying, I find it funny that kids on the internet have brainwashed people and thinking that if you're over 35, you belong in a wheelchair or something. Yeah, it's a youth culture that is. It seems like it's dying though a bit. It has been dying because if you see a lot of the youth, they seem to be obsessed with like the Arnold Schwarzeneggers, the Lou Ferrignos, like the people like Jean-Claude Van Damme's, like the guys that are like from '80s. You know, like these guys are like they were older than me in the '80s. They were like 10 or 15 years older than I was then, if not more. And they are like Chuck Norris, even, you know, this kind of stuff. Like these people are all glorified now. So it's almost like there's this change that seems to be happening where this ageism thing is starting to dwindle. But yeah, back in the 80s and stuff, if you're 25, 26 and you hadn't really made a career for yourself, it was almost like game over, you know, or 30. Once you're like 40 years old, it was like, okay, time to give up on life and just die in a room somewhere, unless you had your career going. But there was no way you were going to do anything in pop culture or art or something like that, as far as being a face of art, like say being an actor or something like that. So yeah, it's interesting, but I do think that that's changing. I do think it's changing. Black Phoenix. I'm 31. That'll explain why I'm still a dumbass. Yeah. No, I'm sure you're smarter than I was at your age. Yeah. Yeah, Jim, that's true. Life is always learning. Yeah, there's always this learning thing that goes on. And yeah, and sometimes you learn bullshit and sometimes you learn truth and you kind of discern the difference between the two. And sometimes it takes time to figure that out, right? Do you know how old the average viewer is on your channel? I can imagine it's on the higher side. Why would you say that, Kaiser? Why would you say that? You bastard. No. No, honestly, my demographics are around 20 to 50 is mostly, but I'd say, yeah, 25 to 45, 50 is probably my higher demographic. I think that's probably the higher demographic on my channel. I had a few people reach out to me lately. They wanted to advertise on my channel, their products or services. I told them to hit the bricks because they're like, hey man, we're going to give you some new earbuds. Just advertise your earbuds in your channel with a shout out and we'll give you a free pair. I'm like, yeah, thanks. 7 years of work building a channel and you want me to flock your stuff like for $50 and I don't even use your damn earbuds? It's funny, man. This YouTube thing's hilarious. You grow to be old, you've done the hard miles. Yeah, I'm sure, Leslie. Yeah, that's the thing. We all want to get old, but at the same time, we want to basically make sure that we have a quality of life as you get old. And that's the hard part. It's so many different factors, genetics, all this stuff. I mean, we're trying to do our best, but what do you do? Best exercise for quads? Okay, I don't know. I mean, squats were great for me for quads, but I hit a lot of hamstring and ass with them too, and lower back, there's no doubt. But I got some decent quad development from it. But if you're going to do quads specifically, traditionally, I'd say front squats will be one of the best things for them. But for me, front squats didn't hurt. They just killed my knees, right? So it's going to be dependent on how you're built. But yeah, front squats will probably be the more traditional, like the upright type of squat would be more the traditional way of getting that quad. But yeah, I mean, stuff like step-ups and stuff is worth looking into. Doing step-ups, leg presses, you know, things like that. Yeah. Yeah, Jim Worth, your noggin is pretty hard still. Banging the weight's hard. My belief in actually looking like a bodybuilder has waned. Now I just want to look like I lift. Yeah, you know, it's you're gonna go through times. You're gonna go through times where your training's gonna go well, and then you're gonna go through times where it's not gonna go so well. I mean, your enthusiasm is more important, and whether you're enjoying it or not. And yeah, you're gonna go through times where you're gonna feel so big and strong, and then other times you're gonna be like, oh man, I'm just screwing up, and my body's just not cooperating, right? But yeah, it's good to have a vision, but once that vision starts to screw you up, then you let go of the vision. That's the best advice I can give you because, yeah, me, like I wish my bicep never got torn back in the day, and I wish my shoulder didn't get dislocated so my posing would look right, you know, whatever. But I just finally let go of it. And I just use this stuff as like badges of honor, just as scars and badges of honor. And in my opinion, I look better because of it instead of what's judged on a bodybuilding stage. So you have to create that. You have to inflate. I mean, like, you have to worship your own flaws as the best. You have to do that, not from an ego point of view, but from just a sanity and enjoyment of life point of view. Because if you're not enjoying your life, what's the point? So often people have a goal in life, and until they achieve that goal, they're miserable. And guess how long it takes them to achieve that goal? Right up to the time they fucking die. They're dead. They're dying on their deathbed, and then they're like, I finally made it. And then they have that one fucking moment of peace, and they're dead. What's the point? Enjoy your life now, right? So, I pose in my videos because the only reason why, like, I get more views if I'm posing on the front thumbnail or not. That's when I get more views on the video. But it's not because I'm really here to say, hey, look like me or whatever. Like, who gives a shit, right? I mean, in the end, I'm just trying to basically find a way to be able to get my message out there and to be able to continue to be able to creating content, right? But yeah, the best advice though is if you're suffering from your own vision, let go of your vision. Screw it. Screw the vision. Enjoy your life, Ricky Field, I'm 40 next year, but people think I look like I'm 20. Can it be because I've been working out for a long time? Well, shit, I don't look like I'm 20, so you're doing better than I am there, Ricky, and I've been working out for a long time. So I don't think it's because working out. I think you just got good genetics. Yeah. All right there, Leslie, have a good workout there, bro. And don't fall off the edge of the planet because you're upside down because you're under the world, right? Australia, you're on the bottom there. Maybe I'm on the bottom compared to you. Maybe I'm the one that'll fall off the planet, but either way, don't fall off the planet. Tim Granovsky, what's your take on vegan diet? Did you watch any of my other live chats there, Tim? I'm going to let you watch my other ones, okay? They're in the playlist on live chats. I answer the vegan thing like over and over and over again. Like I've probably answered it 3 or 4 times. I'm not trying to be a jerk or anything, but I answered it so much that I'm just going to try to avoid that subject today because I'm only at 5% for my battery before I got to go here. So, yeah. Yeah, Tim. Yeah, sorry about that. I would answer it though. It's just that I've answered it, and I've answered it, I think the last 2 or 3 chats actually. So, yeah. Cool. Right on. Okay. All right, guys. Well, I think I'm going to take off. I think I almost got an hour in here. And I think this is what we're going to do. I'm going to do this, and then I gotta go on the road. I gotta travel out of town here tonight. So, but I'm going to cut this short. I'll have another video up tomorrow, though, tomorrow evening. So make sure you check that out. I've got a bunch of videos coming. And yeah, thanks a lot for tuning in. And thanks a lot to those of you who have donated super chats or the Patreon supporters and so forth. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, I'll be here next Friday again, doing the same old thing. But yeah, tune in. See you guys. Have a great one. Nada, don't freeze to death down there in Minnesota, wherever you are. And Chase, take care of yourself, you big bastard, you. All right, guys. Thanks a lot, eh? And take care, guys.